someone who's always good he's available now. It
Hey,
is
Charlie.
Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, coming to us live from the Wells Fargo Center. Charlie, before we get started here, your thoughts on the game and any standout post-game comments.
Yeah, this was just a weird game. John Tortorella after the game more or less echoed my thoughts when he said that just not a lot happened through most of it. It was a pretty tight checking game. I thought Utah played well. I don't think they played amazing, but they played well. They're a tight checking team. They're a fast team. They make it tough for you to do things. And maybe both teams were a little tired. It was the second game of back-to-back for both clubs. To me, this was a game that really could have went either way. It's just the Flyers made a couple of really big mistakes, and they had a couple bad bounces that went against them. Like, I don't think the Flyers got outplayed, but I also don't think the Flyers dramatically outplayed Utah either. I think the Flyers are a better team. I do think that they have, on paper, I think the Flyers have more talent than Utah, at least in terms of it being fully developed. Like, obviously, they have guys like Logan Goalie who are real, real good, but they're not what they're going to be in a couple of years. Whereas the Flyers probably have more guys who are what they're going to be, or at least are closer to their ceiling than Utah does. And then Utah has a bunch of guys who are just sort of plugs, in my opinion. That said, the Flyers could have played better. If they would have played at 5-on-5 the way they played against Boston and the way they played against Florida, I think they win this game maybe by the same 4-2 score they lost this game by. It was good enough, but not good enough to have the kind of cushion where you can afford to have a couple big mistakes go against you and a few bad bounces and still win. They just didn't look at, you always have MK right here, just didn't look right tonight, a little bit sloppy. Yeah, they just didn't look great. They weren't terrible. They didn't look great. There were actually some interesting post-game comments, though. Joel Farabee had a few because we didn't get too many players. It was just one of those games where not a heck of a lot to talk about. Number one, Joel Farabee had a big problem with the goalie interference call that was overturned. He basically said that he more or less thinks that they're protecting goalies too much these days, that connect these in that spot for, as I think he said, 10 seconds, and then puck comes in and goalie throws his head back and suddenly it's goalie interference. I think Farabee just has a disagreement with the overarching philosophy
The application
of how this is being applied this year. So Farabee was pretty ticked off about it. He said it changed the entire game. So that was interesting. That said, then we asked John Tortorella about it, and Tortorella said it was the right call, that you can't be in the blue paint, can't skate in the blue paint. So I think probably Farabee would acknowledge that by the letter of the law, it was correct. It just doesn't feel right to him because it feels like it shouldn't be goalie interference. But by the letter of the law, Konechny did skate into the blue, and that they're calling it real tight this year. Say what you will about the NHL, and I've long had problems with the way they judge goalie interference. I think this year they are being more consistent. They are being more consistent with, if a player skates into the blue even a little bit, even if it seems like a BS goalie interference, they're going to overrule for goalie interference. And that's what they did on that particular play. That's what more or less what John Tortorella said, but that doesn't mean Joel Farabee has to like it. And I think that's kind of where he was coming from. The other interesting thing he said was, we asked him obviously about him scoring that goal, and he basically poo-pooed it. And he said, honestly, I feel bad that I stole the goal from Nick Seeler. So
that's
classic hockey teammate answer. Yeah.
Listen, you finish the dunk, man. Make sure it goes in.
Make sure it goes in. Yeah.
Plenty of ridiculous bounces in this game went against the Flyers, and
not wrong.
To get back to Farabee's goalie interference sentiment and what you were saying, Charlie. That was me and Kelly's reaction. Was when you see the replay, the way it's been called this year, it doesn't feel like a coin flip. Like, it was so many years, like, we look at goalie interference and you're like, I don't know. No idea how they're going to come down on this one. And when you see it, it's like, well, this is how they've been calling it. So more than likely coming back, and it did. So bummer for everyone. Definitely a bummer for Jamie Drysdale, who could have tied the game in his return. That would have been real cool. But such is life for the Flyers tonight. Just, a game where they didn't quite have it. I do want to ask about another player who made his return, Sam Ersson. The numbers aren't great. Ends up stopping 21 of 25. But like you said, couple of bounces, a real bad giveaway by Morgan Frost at the end. I don't think he won you the game, Sam Ersson, but I thought he gave them a chance. What did you see in his first game back?
Yeah, one thing about Sam Ersson that I really do like as a journalist, because obviously I have to cover and interview these guys on a daily basis, is he has a real good sense of self-awareness. And I thought his evaluation, his personal evaluation of his play was really accurate. And what he basically said was he felt real good in the first period. Second period, maybe he didn't feel as good. And he said straight up, and I think this is the best way to describe it. He's like, I don't think any of the goals were ones that I am saying to myself, man, I wish I had that back. But by the same token, I need to find a way to stop one more. I need to find a way to get a couple more stops for the team. It's not like any of them I thought were bad goals, and he agreed. But it was just that he's like, look, it's my job to stop the puck. Some of them were stoppable, like the Logan Cooley play. Like that's a real good play by Logan Cooley. He's a real talented player. That wasn't an unstoppable play. You know, if he reads that a little bit differently, maybe he doesn't commit so far to the one side and he's able to stop them with, you know, with a lunging glove or whatever. Again, not a bad goal. It's a really nice play, but it's not an unstoppable goal. And I think that's kind of where his head was at, where, you know, nothing that he's going to be turning over in his head. Like, how did I mess that up when he's going to sleep tonight? But he's just has a generalized feeling of, man, I wish I could have stopped one or two more. I wish I could have found a way to read that play a little bit better, anticipate that a little bit better, and get my team an extra save or two and give us a chance to win the game. So I think that's where his head was at. I don't think he was bad. I think he was fine. But his view is identical to mine, which is he just didn't find a way to get those one or two extra saves to give his team a chance to win, given the limited offense they were creating.
Charlie, you mentioned Joel Farabee a minute ago. So he finally scores, first time in since November 9th. He scores a goal, finally ends the drought. You said he acknowledged, like, I think I stole one from Sealer there, and that's just teammate stuff.
Yeah.
But I was happy for him just to maybe get the monkey off his back. Hopefully it gets something going. We said with the Tippett goal drought, like, yeah, he's not going to score an easier one than that first one that Michkov got him on that far post. But look, goal scorers score in bunches. It has a lot to do with confidence. Maybe this gets him going. But I did find it a little funny. All this time, he's been creating chances, hasn't been able to find the net. He's on the top line. Tonight, he finally scores, and in the third period, he's with Cates and Brink. What did you think of that decision? I said to Kelly, like, maybe you're in the back end of a back-to-back. You have a guy who's been going. You got to roll lines. Maybe it's a way to even things out a little bit. What did you think of that decision? And was there any talk about it in the post game?
Yeah, that was an interesting decision. I almost wonder, because I mean, again, after the game, when we talked to John, he again praised Joel Farabee because he was asked about, you know, obviously the goal. Towards basically said, look, he's playing great, creating chances. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he finally got rewarded for it. So I don't think it was a, you know, a critique or a punishment to move him off that top line. I think if anything, it was maybe him liking what he had seen in the first half of the game and hoping maybe he can keep him going. But interestingly enough, Tortorella was a Forster after the game, because I think it was Adam Kilman of NHL.com asked about that change, and Torts basically said, look, Tyson's the one who takes the delay game penalty that leads to the power play goal, the third goal. And he said, look, he thinks Forster is getting closer, but I think the word he used was there's hiccups. There just keeps being hiccups with Forster's play. And it seems like he's trending in the right direction. It seems like the points are coming more often. The details are better. But here and there, Forster will make a big mistake. And that delay game penalty, you know, ultimately that was a big mistake. You know, it may not have been if the Flyers penalty kill was firing on all cylinders like it was a few weeks ago. But right now they're struggling a bit. And given the situation, yeah, that's one you look back on and you say, maybe this game is different if Forster makes a better play with that puck. So it's an interesting question, Bill, because I don't know exactly why that decision was made. If I had to guess, I would suspect it was probably more about Forster than it was about Farabee, because it seems like Tortorella is happier with Farabee right now than he is with Forster. So it might have been more about trying to get Forster going and taking advantage of what maybe he saw was looking like the makings of a potentially good game, and then seemingly Forster disappointed him by taking that penalty.
So, Charlie, we want to talk a little bit about that Tippett, Frost, Michkov line. 2/3 of the line playing very well together, Tippett and Michkov. Bill laid out a bit of a hot streak that they have going here in St. Louis. Tippett from Michkov and Frost. In Florida, Tippett from Michkov twice. Boston, Michkov from Sanheim. This game, Tippett from Sealer and Michkov. those two guys seem to have gotten something going. What is Morgan Frost generally? What
Yeah.
is he?
Well, I mean, what he is a skilled center who is not having a good year. He had a couple plays in this game that I thought were good. He had one
He
that it was an end-to-end rush. He takes it right past the goalie, goes all the way up the ice, creates a controlled entry, looked like the talented scoring center that he can be at his best. Obviously, he also had one of the worst plays of the season where he just misses the puck Brad Marchand style, except at least that one came in a shootout. This happened in actual play.
So
I thought
bad.
I thought it was interesting that Tortorella threw him right back out there for the 6-on-5.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
I specifically asked Tortorella that after the game. I was
great.
like, you put him out there, and I started asking, like, was it just one of those mistakes where, and he basically stopped me, and he's like, yeah, he's never going to make that one again. Like, terrible play, but obviously one of
He's
those.
never playing again.
Well, it's one of those where I remember this was like 2-3 years ago. I think it was the only year that Tortorella coached Provorov. And there was a play that Provorov made. It was like the most glaring, awful turnover in the world. And I think it definitely led to a goal against. It might have led to the end of the like a game-winning goal. And we asked Tortorella about it after the game, and he basically was like, look, like, he knows he screwed up. I don't need to tell him. I don't need to bench him. Like, that's just one of those physical mistakes where everyone on the bench knows how bad he feels. I don't need to make it worse by sitting him for a shift or whatever. Like that's not a mental mistake. It seems like the mental mistakes are the ones that tick off towards the most. The mental and the effort mistakes. Like, that's just if he does that 1,000 times, he'll do the right play 999 of them.
Yeah.
This was just the one where he just whiffed on it. And now every time he does it for the rest of his career, he's going to be 100% sure every time that he doesn't do it again. It's just, this was the time he makes that awful mistake. It doesn't absolve him. It was still a terrible mistake. It basically ices the game for Utah, but it wasn't the kind of mistake, I think, in Tortorella's eyes that warranted punitive action, because I think there's probably an element from Tortorella's perspective of like, there's no punishment I can give him that is going to hurt more than what he's putting himself through after making a play like that. Like, he did that in front of his home crowd. The entire arena now hates him. And maybe some of the people will forgive him, some won't. But like, everyone is livid at Morgan Frost, and Morgan Frost knows that that he messed up and he's going to be embarrassed about it. And I guess Tortorella thought that like that was enough, and he didn't need to make it even worse for the kid.
Now, a coach is going to forgive a physical mistake. It's just like, dude, make the play. Like we said about Owen Tippett yesterday in overtime. Like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Be better. But like, there's no coaching. The puck, get it. Like, what do you tell him? It's just a horrible mistake, but it's like, it's things like we talked about with Michkov earlier in the season. Hey, man, your D-man pinches, you got to be up high. You have to know where to be, because this is stuff we talk about all the time. Like, that's the kind of thing a coach is going to go nuts about. I felt bad for him because, honestly, I'm putting in the outline today, like, where is Morgan Frost? Where has he been? His two wingers have been really good for like a week, 2 weeks.
It's a fair point.
And he's nowhere. And then suddenly he started being noticeable. He actually made some plays tonight and was not just a passenger on that line for some time. And then, of course, makes like the blunder of the game. More than anything, I felt bad. I was like, that sucks. Like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back once again with Morgan Frost. It just seems as if he is he's a toilet. Like, it really is it really is the Tortorella toilet seat.
Toilet seat is closed this season. It's not open.
Yeah. What did you I just looking at what they've done in the back end of back-to-backs this year, Charlie. They're 1-3-0. They just didn't really seem to have it tonight. Do you think that means anything? It's a 4-game sample size, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, Tortorella was asked that too. And Tortorella more or less was just like, I don't know. We got to win games. He's like, I don't know if there's something to it. We're talking about relatively small samples here. There might be something to it. That said, in this game, Utah was coming off of a game yesterday too. They're tough games. The second game of back-to-back are tough games. The Flyers have had a tough schedule. Like, this wasn't just second game of back-to-back. This was 3 and 4. They've had a couple other 3 and 4s where, the legs, I'm sure, are extra heavy because they're packing everything in a short period of time. It's been a strange schedule. I can tell you, as someone who covers the team, it's been weird and it's been exhausting at times. So I get it. That said, yeah, when it comes down to it, you got to play the games on your schedule and you got to win them. And I think this 3-game stretch is very frustrating for me because I do think they are playing better structurally. And given the fact that I think these are 3 consecutive games, because even this game, and I thought they had a lot of mistakes they made at 5-on-5, they still won the 5-on-5 advanced stat battles. Like they led in expected goals, they led in high danger chances. Like they had the edge at 5-on-5, and they had the edge at 5-on-5 in their previous 2 games as well against Florida and Boston. And to come out of those 3 games with an 0-2-1 record, that's a real disappointment because it feels like, maybe you couldn't win all 3, but it feels like you could have won at least 2 and maybe all 3, given the fact that you played well enough to win all 3 of these games. It's just that 2 of them, you kind of blow them because you don't make the right plays or you make actively bad plays at pivotal moments. This one, you get some bad bounces, you make some really bad mistakes, and boom, there you go. You lose to a team that you're probably a little bit better than. It just feels like if we're talking about this team being a bubble playoff team, it feels like these are 3 games where in March you're going to look back and say, like, man, that just, it feels like they it's a missed opportunity where they should have came out of this with at least 4 out of 6 points. Instead, they come out of this with 1 out of 6 points. And I just feel like they might regret that come March if they're still in the playoff race.
So we talked about the goalie interference, but I thought Drysdale and Sealer together were pretty good tonight, Charlie. Drysdale maybe benefiting from, some fresh legs. He hasn't played in quite a while. Looked like he scored a game-tying goal. It gets taken away. Nick Sealer, a couple of assists tonight. He's +2. That pair has been up and down. We look at it and go, it makes so much sense on paper, and we've seen it go kind of back and forth, but I thought they were good tonight. What did you think of Jamie Drysdale overall in his return to the lineup?
I was impressed. I was really impressed by Drysdale. What I liked about his game the most is I liked the decisiveness. I thought with the puck, and not even just when he's trying to make plays in the offensive zone, I thought in the defensive zone too. He was moving the puck quickly. Even when he was along the boards, it was just like quick ups, push the puck to a teammate, up the boards if you're rimming it or whatever. He was making smart, decisive plays. And I have to wonder if that might have been what they have been telling him, because look, we can speculate all we want. We asked Jamie Drysdale after the game today, because we obviously interviewed him. It was our first time we've been able to interview him since everything. Drysdale didn't come out and say it, but his answer strongly hinted that he's been healthy for a bit. And they were, because he was talking about how, like, well, the boys were rolling, and it was very much hinting at like, yeah, I probably could have come back a little bit ago, and they kept me out because, number one, the defense was playing well. Number two, and I think this is probably part of it, they wanted to get some extra time working with him, with him, keeping him off the ice, because they know they have to basically rebuild this guy's game. They need to do like a Ristolainen style reclamation project where they need to reteach this guy how to play hockey the way they want him to play. I do wonder if maybe we saw a little bit of the fruits of that in this game, because I'm sure he's been doing a lot of one-on-one work with Brad Shaw, with Angelo Ricci, the skills coach, just a lot of remedial work. Maybe you're seeing some of the rewards from the work that I'm sure he's been doing with the coaching staff over this past month. I don't know if it's going to stick. I guess we'll see. And I definitely got the sense from Drysdale, the way he was answering questions, that like he's been wanting to come back for a while, and that it's been the team not putting him in the lineup, not him not being available. That said, if it serves a purpose in making him a more complete player and making him be much better in the second half of the season, as opposed to where he was the first 15 games of the season, then maybe it'll be worth it in the end.
Yeah, I thought decisive was 100% the word. We've seen him when he struggles. It looks like he's thinking. Like you can see the wheels turning. Like, do I pinch here? Oh no, and like, you're fast, dude. Just make the play. I thought he was playing very free, and that allowed him to be decisive. And I hope that sticks, like you said, because he has traits. He has abilities that even if you make a mistake, you can recover. You'll be okay. You're faster than everyone out there, basically. Like, you are a good player. You will be fine. Just it's the indecisiveness when you get caught in between, then you can't recover. And I think we saw hopefully the beginning of that tonight. I liked what I saw a lot out of Jamie Drysdale. Charlie, the penalty kill gives up another goal tonight. Is this just, it's not the same as last year? They're regressing a little bit. Maybe it's just some bad luck. What are you seeing out of this PK?
Well, it's probably a little bit of everything. Like the goal they give up tonight, Scott Lawton nearly scores right before. You know, maybe last year he finishes on that. They never have the opportunity to score on the power play because it's a shorthanded goal and all the life is sucked out of them because they just gave up a shorthanded goal. Obviously, the Flyers were finishing on more of their shorthanded chances last year. I thought tonight they seemed a little bit more aggressive trying to take the puck down the ice, you know, with the puck and create chances. So I like that. Is it a little bit of details? Probably. I still haven't had a chance to really dive into the numbers. I know you keep bringing it up because they keep scoring, but like, if I had to guess, I don't think they're playing that much worse. I just think that the details are a little bit off. They're not finishing. They're not getting a clear here and there. And then boom, more goals are happening.
All right, Charlie, let's get to it now. It is time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Starting off, hit us with star number 3.
Okay, well, can I just give a fun one?
Sure.
Yes.
I'm going to give
This is a serious segment, Charlie.
I'm going to give third star to Matvei Michkov because I have never in my life seen a player sign an autograph on his way out of the rink after getting thrown out of the game 16 seconds early. It was very funny. I don't know if they put it up on the broadcast or anything.
I did not notice that.
Essentially what happened was like he's walking down the tunnel and I guess like a fan got his attention and like basically like handed him down something. And then he looks at it and then the guy drops his pen down to him and he catches it and signs it and hands it back to him.
Amazing.
That is freaking wild. Honestly, you should have made him first star for that.
Seriously.
Threw a nice tight jab to get kicked out of the game. That was good stuff.
Yeah.
Picks up an assist tonight. Doesn't break the teenage overtime goal record, Charlie, on the eve of his birthday. This was his last chance. Doesn't do it, but that's some real minor league hockey stuff. Like you're on your way out from getting kicked out. Like, yeah, that's absolutely like, yeah. That's some slap shot stuff there. All right, hit us with star number 2.
Yeah, star number 2. I'm gonna have fun with it. I'm gonna go with Jamie Drysdale because I thought he was really good in this game.
He was good.
You know, he doesn't get the goal, but it's a sort of goal because I think he did everything right on that play. And probably a couple years ago, that is a goal because they have a different way of interpreting the interference penalty. I thought he was strong in his return game, and I'm really hopeful that maybe this is the version of Jamie Drysdale they're going to be getting the rest of the season. We'll see. It's obviously just one game, but that would be really nice because this guy, at the very least, is a quality third-pair defenseman, and then they could try to get more out of him from there.
Finally, tonight's first star of the game.
Yeah, first star of the game, Logan Cooley. He gets the big game-winning goal. Really nice goal. I've been a Logan Cooley fan for years. He was my favorite prospect in that 2022 draft. He was the guy I was kind of like hoping against hope would slip to number 5 that the Flyers could take. He's just a really, really skilled, really fun player, and he showed it. He gets the goal, gets an assist. I think he's like only a little bit behind point per game pace this year. It seems like this is kind of his breakout season. He's a fun player, and he was real good tonight. He's very fast. That whole team is quick. He's one of the guys on that team who is quick. They play fast. They play hard. They're a chippy team, and Logan Cooley brings a skill, and he brought it tonight. And he's first star of the game.
All right, before we let you go, Charlie, what do you think? Utah Yeti?
I mean, that's the rumor. Now, whether it's going to be Yeti or Yetis, I don't know if it's going to be if we're going with the plural or the singular, but it does seem like the momentum is going towards Yeti. Now, whether it's with an S or not, unclear.
Do we not like the S? I kind of like the S.
I don't like the S.
They're all Yetis together. It can't just be one Yeti.
If it's Yeti, honestly, Yeti or Yetis, I'm hoping against hope the logo is the old foot from the Avalanche jersey.
Oh, God, yes.
That would be so sick if they just straight up stole it. Good. That would be great. All right, that is Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, coming to us live from the Wells Fargo Center. Charlie, we're off tomorrow. I will talk to you Tuesday, my friend.
All right. See you, gang.
We all silly like the mayor.